What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 and another defense spotlight. I've been promising this one for a while now, and it is time to take a look at Flame Aura's version 3.0. Now, as we push into Onslaught and you get higher and higher, as we all know, eventually you're going to get to a point where your boom servos are not going to give you the amount of productivity that they did in the lower floors and through expeditions. Now, of course, like melee boom, for example, is just wildly effective as you progress up through the expeditions, or do the Onslaught floors, say 150 or below, maybe 200 or below. However, melee boom with its locked damage and the health scaling of the mobs, it is not quite as effective in Onslaught. Now, I just hit Onslaught floor 300, so, I'm a little bit past due. I would say it's probably best to convert off any burnt boom servos once you get to like the 200 range. However, of course, you can just build like this right from the beginning and still have lots of success as you're progressing. So the newest version of Flame Auras that I'm using for the higher Onslaught is taking advantage of two things. First off, we are doing double anti-mod stacking. As a lot of us know, when you stack anti-mods, it is added, the damage stacks up in a multiplicative fashion and not an additive fashion. So as we see here, I've got 2 plus 60%. That is not plus 120%. It starts at the top and works its way down, and say you start off at 100% damage, the melee mob is going to get plus 60% damage there, which means you're going to have 160% total damage. Now, if it's an orc, for example, the orc is going to get another 60%. Now, it's getting the 60% of the 160%, not of the base damage. So it does add up, and it multiplies as you use anti-mods. Now, why do you ask, why wouldn't I use a third anti-mod? Well, first off, melee mobs and orcs cause me most of my problems. Now, by all means, everyone should mod their flame auras towards the enemies that they have the biggest issue with. For me personally, most of the mobs that will make it through my flame auras are going to be, first off, melee mobs. As we know, the ranged mobs are a lot squishier, but in addition to that, the majority are going to be orcs. There's going to be cyborgs, there's going to be regular orcs, there's going to be lady orcs or berserkers. There's going to be, as far as bosses go, we're going to have like Thork is going to go through there. Anti-melee and anti-orc is going to cover all of those. Now, there is a third mob that tends to push through, and that would be the bulwarks. Now, the bulwarks are goblins, so I am getting the anti-melee bonus, but not the anti-orc bonus. However, the shieldy gobs, in my opinion, are a little bit easier to put down than, say, the lady orcs or even the cyborgs, so I am focusing mainly on those two enemies. So using anti-melee and anti-orc, as a third mod, I'm going with defense range. Now, we'll get into that in a moment, as there is another big change to my Flame Aura setup. Now, I just can't have baby auras. To me, that aura right there, I wish was a little bit bigger. However, I am having great success with it and going with that, and that is due to that range mod there. And the reason being is I am not using deadly strikes on my flame auras any longer. Trendy has unofficially confirmed that destruction stacking, which is mass destruction and destruction, is not going to be changed. This is something you can only do on one defense. They seem to be pretty happy with that, and it's something that is not going to change in the game. Now, lots of people have already been stacking mass destruction and destruction. However, a select few have kind of looked at this as a bit of an exploit, as it wasn't like this originally when these shards came out. We do now know that it's not changing, so go ham and stack up that destruction. We all know it's all about defense power right now, so the more defense power the merrier. Mass destruction, destruction, and defense rate. Now, defense rate, of course, is a required shard there, as you just got to get to the speed caps. If you were happy having some absolutely itty-bitty baby auras, then you could perhaps get rid of that defense range mod and go with maybe defense right there. And if you get it to Chaos 8 and it's a 10 of 10, it will be at the rate cap. However, I personally choose to use a Gilded Defense Rate Shard, which gets me to the cap, Gilded Destruction, and Gilded Mass. Now, Mass Destruction is the very first Hyper Shard you get. You only need 55 stars in Mastery, so it's very easy to obtain. Theoretically, you could go through and 1-star 55 of the different Mastery maps and get this shard. It's literally just that easy. Now, Mass Destruction is just huge, but say you don't have it, okay, go ahead and get rid of that. And really, that leaves you 2 choices. Now, some would say there would be a third choice via Vampiric Empowerment. I'm not even considering that, because why would we use Vamp when we're just not going to get as much of a benefit out of it as some of the alternatives? Now, first off would be Deadly Strikes. Then we no longer have the baby auras. We've got a nice big fatty aura that's going to cover multiple lanes and is going to do pretty much whatever you want with it. And it's still going to allow a huge stacking area where 2 auras or even 3 auras could all be hitting the same area. As you see, this is just a massive triangle right here, and it gives you just absurd coverage throughout. Now, say you didn't want to take that route and you were happy going with a smaller aura and just want a little bit more power, then you can pop Deadly Strikes out of there and go with Encroaching Flames. Encroaching Flames has a 38% chance to deal 76% more damage when gilded, and Encroaching Flames can definitely give you a nice extra punch. Now, the difference here is Encroaching Flames is proc based, so if you get a bad string and you get an unlucky string, it's not going to pop and it's not going to do anything for you. And that's why I personally would use Encroaching Flames as a third alternative and definitely not one of my top 2. Without a doubt, probably the most powerful combo on any single defense in the game would be Mass Destruction, Destruction, and Defense Rate. Now, if we want to take this one step further, another reason why this is so powerful of a combo is that if you have the Destructive Pylon Shard. Destructive Pylon got a bit of a buff in the last update, and Destructive Pylon now increases the defense power of the affected tower by 34%. 34%. So it's giving you 34% of a much larger number while stacking that Mass Destruction and Destruction. As you see here, just with 50 DU, I've got myself 2.47 mil Flame Aura Tooltip DPS with an additional 2 million of single target DPS on top of it, all for just 50 DU. As far as Chaos 7 goes, when I'm running Chaos 7 matches, just farming it up by myself, this is all I put on every lane, and it just wrecks the house. So, very, very strong power combo. Now, this really is, like I said, it can be used on any defense in the game. Any defense where you feel comfortable giving up range. And when you're giving up range, you always have to ask yourself, is it better to hit something once for 15? Or is it better to hit it twice for 10 each? Well, obviously, if you hit it twice for 10 each, you're going to be doing more damage. And that's where range would come in. And that's one reason why I would not sacrifice that third mod slot to another anti-mod. Now, like I said, by all means, it's your Flame Auras. You do with them what you want. And that is just the selection that I'm using and having great success with all the way up into the high floor 200s and up. Used them on 300 earlier today. So that will do it for now. That is a look at Flame Auras 3.0. Nothing else has changed with the Ascension. Ascension's all the same stuff. Always go defense crit, always go defense crit chance. On almost every defense, always go full range gambit. Always go defense speed, and then everything else just right into the tower itself. So stick with those basics, and Ascension will take you far. Defense speed is the most important thing in the middle category. Defense crit chance would be the most important thing in the utility category, so always get those maxed out first. However, that will do it for now, so thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click that like button and please subscribe to the channel. And I will be back soon with more Dungeon Defenders 2. I'll see you then.